Welcome to Chapter Wise. In today's episode, we'll unpack I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi, a modern classic in personal finance that shows you how to automate your money, invest wisely, and design a truly rich life. Let's start the journey. There's a quiet truth about money that most people never learn. Wealth doesn't come from working harder. It comes from working smarter. Financial freedom often seems reserved for the lucky few, the ones who inherit wealth, build perfect businesses, or somehow figure it out. But the truth is, lasting wealth isn't built on luck. It's built on systems, on habits that make money grow automatically, while life moves forward with less stress and more confidence. Money isn't just about numbers. It's about behavior. And when behavior is shaped intentionally, it becomes possible to create a financial life that supports every goal. The first step toward that life begins with something simple, yet powerful: mastering credit. Most people are taught to fear credit cards. They're told credit is dangerous, a trap that leads to debt. But credit, like any tool, isn't good or bad. Its value depends entirely on how it's used. A hammer can build a house or break a window. The same is true for credit. Credit is not a measure of wealth. It's a measure of trust. It shows how consistently financial obligations are met, how responsibly money is handled, and how much control is exercised over spending. Consider this. Most major purchases in life, a home, a car, an education, rely on credit. And access to those opportunities depends on one simple number: the credit score. A strong credit score can save thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. It determines the rates offered by banks, the approval of loans, even eligibility for housing or employment. Yet, many people either avoid credit entirely or fall into the trap of debt, two extremes that prevent financial growth. Good credit isn't about spending more. It's about demonstrating reliability, paying bills on time, keeping credit usage low, and maintaining accounts for the long term all signal consistency. Over time, that consistency builds trust, not just with banks, but with the financial system as a whole. And that trust opens doors. It creates freedom to borrow at lower rates, qualify for better mortgages, and unlock opportunities that would otherwise remain out of reach. To use credit wisely, focus on purpose over impulse. A few well-chosen cards, managed intentionally, are far more powerful than a dozen opened for fleeting rewards. Use credit for regular, predictable expenses, things that would be purchased anyway, and automate payments to clear the balance in full each month. No delays, no exceptions. This habit builds a record of responsibility that strengthens credit month after month. Chasing reward points or limited time offers often leads to hidden fees and unnecessary debt. Real financial progress comes not from chasing perks, but from consistency and control. Another overlooked skill is negotiation. Banks and financial institutions often seem untouchable, but they depend on loyal customers. A simple phone call to request a fee waiver or a lower interest rate can make a difference. Most people never ask. Yet, when they do, they're often surprised by how easily those requests are granted. Negotiation isn't about confrontation, it's about confidence. And like any skill, it improves with practice. Now, consider the foundation of credit itself, the credit score. It's not mysterious, it's mathematical. It's determined by 5 key factors: payment history, credit utilization, length of credit history, types of credit, and new inquiries. The first two matter most: paying on time and keeping balances below 30% of available credit accounts for the majority of the score. From there, small actions make a big impact. Requesting a higher credit limit once a year, without increasing spending, lowers utilization naturally. Keeping older accounts open preserves the length of credit history, which further boosts reliability. Every responsible decision adds to a long-term pattern of trustworthiness. Building credit isn't about showing off or accumulating debt. It's about creating stability, proof of reliability that opens doors to financial freedom. When fear of credit turns into understanding, the relationship with money changes completely. Credit cards become tools, not traps. Bills become reminders of responsibility, not sources of stress. Financial control begins to replace financial anxiety. Wealth isn't just about earning more. It's about behaving differently. It's about adopting the mindset of someone who manages money with clarity and intention. Once credit is mastered, everything else becomes easier. Savings grow faster. Loans cost less. Opportunities multiply. Money stops being something to chase and becomes something that works quietly, efficiently, and predictably in the background. True financial freedom doesn't come from luck, timing, or talent. It comes from systems that make success inevitable. And the first of those systems begins with optimizing credit, the foundation upon which all other financial growth is built. Master credit. Build trust with your money. And from that trust, build freedom. Because this is where a rich life begins, not someday, but right now. Money doesn't grow in chaos. It grows in systems. And the backbone of every strong financial system begins with something simple, yet often overlooked: bank accounts. For many, a bank is just where the paycheck lands and the bills go out. But in reality, the way accounts are set up, the type of bank chosen, and how fees are managed can be the difference between money that quietly works in the background and money that slowly drains away. And I will teach you to be rich. Ramit Sethi makes it clear banking isn't just about earning a little interest. It's about building a foundation that's secure, efficient, and fully automated. A setup designed to eliminate friction and create peace of mind. To manage money effectively, it's important to first understand how banks actually operate. Banks make money not only by lending out deposits at higher interest rates, but also through fees, overdraft charges, minimum balance penalties, transaction costs, and monthly maintenance. These fees may seem small, $10 here, $25 there, but over time, they add up. And every dollar lost to a preventable fee is a dollar that could have been saved, invested, or used to pay down debt. This is why Sethi's message is so powerful. Fees matter more than interest. Most people chase high interest rates, trying to earn an extra 1 or 2%, while ignoring the fact that a single overdraft fee can erase months of growth. Before asking how much a bank will pay, ask how much it might cost. When it comes to choosing a bank, not all are created equal. Traditional banks, the large institutions with physical branches, may offer convenience and face-to-face service, but that service often comes with hidden costs. Low interest rates, unnecessary fees, and strict requirements make them expensive for people focused on growing their money. Online banks, on the other hand, operate with lower overhead. They don't pay for massive buildings or tellers, and they pass those savings to the customer. That's why online banks typically offer interest rates 5 to 10 times higher than traditional banks, while also eliminating common fees. Sethi highlights online banks as the smart foundation for a modern financial system. They offer mobile access, faster transfers, and simpler tools. But that doesn't mean traditional banks are obsolete. They still serve a purpose, especially for quick access to cash or in-person support. The ideal setup combines both. A traditional checking account for everyday use, deposits, ATM access, and bills, and a high-yield online savings account built for long-term storage and goal-based saving. This dual system keeps banking simple, flexible, and optimized for both convenience and growth. Every strong financial system starts with 2 core accounts, one checking and one savings, each with a clear role. The checking account is the financial command center. It's where income flows in and expenses flow out. This account handles bills, subscriptions, everyday spending, the regular rhythm of financial life. An ideal checking account has no monthly maintenance fees, free nationwide ATM access, and supports mobile transfers and online payments. If a current bank charges fees, it's time to act, either by negotiating to remove them or switching to a better option. Remember, banks spend hundreds of dollars acquiring new customers. They often prefer to waive fees rather than lose an account. The savings account is where money grows quietly. It's not for spending, it's for safety and goals. Emergency funds, vacations, big purchases. This is the account for short and medium-term planning. A high-yield online savings account works best, not only because it earns more, but because it adds a layer of discipline. Separating savings from spending and housing them at different institutions creates a pause. Transferring money takes 1 to 3 days. That delay is often enough to avoid impulse decisions and protect goals. Choosing the right bank comes down to values, not flashy advertising. Look for trust, convenience, transparency, and technology. Ask, does the bank feel secure? Can money be accessed anytime, from anywhere? Are the fees clear, and can they be waived? Does the bank offer modern tools like mobile deposits and automatic transfers? If the answer to any of these is no, it's not the right fit. In today's world, no one should settle for poor service or hidden costs. Negotiation is one of the most underrated tools in personal finance, and banks are one of the best places to practice. Most people never question the charges they see, but a simple, polite phone call can change that. Ask, can this fee be removed? And more often than not, it will be, why? Because keeping a customer is cheaper than replacing one. Negotiation isn't conflict. It's a calm conversation about fair treatment. And it works. Another key principle in modern money management is separation by purpose. When every account has a clear job, one for spending, one for saving, one for investing, clarity follows. That clarity reduces guilt, eliminates confusion, and reinforces discipline. Money flows in with income. Some moves automatically to savings. Another portion flows to investments. The rest covers expenses and lifestyle. Every dollar has a destination. This is how chaos turns into order. So what does implementation look like? Start by listing all current accounts. Identify which ones charge fees and which ones are actually used. Close anything unnecessary. Then, choose one reliable checking account and one high-interest savings account. Call the bank to request fee waivers or switch if needed. Open an online savings account and move a portion of funds to begin building an emergency buffer. Link the accounts. Set up automatic transfers to align with payday. And commit to checking in once a month, not as a chore, but as a system check. These small actions create a structure that supports financial stability without needing daily attention. Once set up, the system works in the background. And this is the point, to remove stress, reduce friction, and create space for bigger financial moves. Why so much focus on banks? Because the way money is stored, accessed, and moved affects everything. A poor setup leads to stress, fees, and missed goals. A great setup builds momentum, peace of mind, and long-term growth. As Ramit Sethi reminds us, systems beat willpower every time. And banking is the first system to master. Choose banks that support your values. Eliminate hidden costs. Separate your money with purpose. And automate the flow of every dollar. This is how chaos becomes clarity, how stress turns into stability, and how the foundation for a rich life is quietly, confidently built. Money sitting idle is like potential energy waiting to be released. It has power, but only when it's put to work. You can save your way to stability, but you can't save your way to wealth. Wealth begins when money earns money, quietly, consistently, and automatically. That's the essence of building a rich life. It's not about endless effort, but about designing systems that create growth on their own. Albert Einstein once called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Those who understand it, earn it. Those who don't, pay it. Consider this simple example. Saving $500 a month in a basic account earning 0.5% interest gives you around $61,000 after 10 years. But if that same amount is invested in a simple index fund averaging 8% annually, it grows to roughly $91,000. That's $30,000 more, earned without lifting a finger. The difference isn't luck. It's compounding. The process where returns generate more returns, creating a snowball effect that grows larger over time. Compounding rewards time, not timing. The earlier you start, the more exponential the results. Waiting for the perfect moment only delays progress. Start small, start now, and let time do the heavy lifting. Many people still fear investing because they confuse it with gambling. They picture chaotic trading floors and risky bets. But real investing isn't about guessing or reacting to daily headlines. It's methodical, patient, and almost boring. It's about owning small pieces of great businesses through index funds, not trying to predict which stock will rise next week. When you invest in an index fund, you buy a fraction of hundreds or even thousands of companies. If one drops, another rises. The entire market continues to move forward. And historically, it has grown about 8 to 10% a year. That's why the smartest strategy isn't trying to beat the market, but simply joining it. Because over the long term, more than 90% of professional investors fail to outperform the simplicity of a basic index fund. The key to confidence in investing lies in understanding what you own. Fear fades when knowledge grows. When you invest, you're not throwing money into the unknown. You're becoming a part owner of the most successful businesses in the world. Companies driving technology, innovation, and progress. You're not gambling. You're participating in human advancement. And when you view investing as ownership, not risk, everything changes. So why do most people never build real wealth? It's not because they're lazy or unlucky. It's because they wait. They wait for the right time, for more money, for more knowledge, for the market to feel safer. But the truth is, the perfect moment never comes. And while they wait, inflation silently eats away at their savings. $10,000 in cash today may only buy what $7,000 does 10 years from now. Doing nothing with money is still a decision, and often the most expensive one. Once your banking foundation is set, it's time to open your first investment account, the place where your money begins to multiply. In the United States, that typically means starting with a 401k, an employer-sponsored retirement account. Contributions are pre-tax, meaning they're invested before taxes are taken. Many employers match a portion of what you contribute, which is essentially free money, and the account grows tax-deferred, allowing compounding to work faster. If a 401k match is available, always contribute at least enough to earn the full match. That's a 100% return from day one. For those without a 401k, similar accounts exist around the world. IRAs, RRSPs, ISAs, or pension funds. The principle is the same. Automate contributions and never withdraw the money until it's needed for the future. The most powerful investment portfolios are often the simplest. Complexity doesn't create success, consistency does. A straightforward portfolio might look like this: 70% in a total stock market index fund, 20% in an international index fund, and 10% in a bond index fund. That's it. One annual rebalance keeps everything aligned, and this simple setup has historically outperformed the majority of investors who constantly try to outsmart the market. The reason it works is balance. Exposure to global growth while reducing volatility. Automation is where wealth truly takes shape. Once accounts are ready, automate contributions so money moves from checking to investments every month, ideally right after payday. This removes the need for willpower or decision-making. The process happens automatically. Automation makes saving effortless, prevents emotional decisions, and allows compounding to continue undisturbed. It's the quiet, consistent flow that builds long-term freedom. One of the biggest mistakes investors make is trying to time the market, buying when it feels safe and selling when it feels uncertain. But the truth is, no one knows when markets will rise or fall. Not even professionals. Missing just the 10 best days of growth in a 20-year period can cut total returns in half. That's why consistency always beats prediction. Invest regularly, no matter what the headlines say. Over time, steady investing through highs and lows produces the strongest results. Every investment carries some level of risk, but not the kind most people fear. The real risk isn't short-term market dips. It's missing out on decades of growth. History shows that markets fall, sometimes sharply, but they always recover and reach new highs. Short-term volatility is noise. Long-term growth is the signal. Selling in panic locks in losses, while staying invested lets compounding do its job. A downturn isn't a disaster. It's a temporary discount on assets that will eventually rise again. True investing is a long game. It's not about getting rich this year. It's about building freedom over decades. The goal isn't excitement, it's security. The objective isn't fast money, it's lasting wealth. When investments grow faster than spending, financial freedom begins, the point where money works harder than you do. That's when peace replaces pressure. You don't just have wealth, you have control. Here's a simple roadmap to begin. Start with a retirement account and contribute enough to earn the full employer match. Automate those contributions. Then open an individual investment account with a trusted brokerage. Invest in low-cost index funds instead of picking individual stocks. Use a balanced allocation, 70% stocks, 20% international, 10% bonds. Rebalance once a year. Ignore market noise. Don't check balances weekly. Focus on consistency, not emotion. Continue investing through every cycle, downturns included. Every crash is temporary. Every recovery builds wealth. With this, your wealth system is in motion. Once everything is in place, your role becomes simple. Keep the system fed. Each contribution is a small act of freedom. Each month of consistency strengthens your foundation. Over time, you'll realize that wealth isn't built through intensity, but through quiet, persistent commitment. The essence of smart investing can be summarized in 3 principles. Don't wait, start small. Don't predict, stay consistent. Don't complicate, automate. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to participate. Because the true secret to financial success isn't finding the perfect investment. It's becoming the kind of person who invests, no matter what the market looks like. That's when your money begins working for you, until one day you no longer have to work for it. Money is emotional. We often pretend it's logical, built from numbers, charts, and percentages. But behind every financial decision lies a feeling: fear, excitement, guilt, pride, even shame. A rich life isn't about cutting back on everything. It's about spending intentionally on what you love. That idea turns traditional personal finance on its head. Most advice focuses on restriction. Don't buy coffee, don't eat out, don't spend on luxuries. But what if getting rich wasn't about saying no, but about saying yes to the right things? What if wealth came not from denial, but from clarity? There's a big difference between being cheap and being conscious. A cheap person cuts costs blindly, chasing the lowest price regardless of the consequence. A conscious spender asks one powerful question: does this expense bring real value to my life? It's not about spending less. It's about spending better. A cheap person skips the morning coffee out of guilt. A conscious spender enjoys that coffee fully because it adds joy, energy, and routine, then chooses to cut out what doesn't matter, like in used subscriptions or impulse buys. The difference isn't the amount spent. It's the intention behind it. Conscious spending means every dollar has a purpose, aligned with your values, not someone else's definition of what's smart. Traditional budgets fail because they focus on restriction instead of reward. Like a diet, they begin with excitement and end with guilt. People track every cent, create rigid categories, and then burn out after a few weeks. The result? Frustration and avoidance. The truth is, financial systems that work long-term always include joy. A successful plan doesn't just cover bills and savings. It lets you enjoy life without guilt. When joy is built into your system, you stop fighting your money and start flowing with it. That's why the guilt-free spending plan works. Instead of tracking endlessly, you divide your money with intention. 50 to 60% goes toward fixed costs like rent, utilities, and groceries. 10% goes to investments, your future wealth. 5 to 10% supports short-term savings for goals or emergencies. The remaining 20 to 35% is guilt-free spending, the money you use for fun, experiences, and what makes you feel alive. This structure ensures your needs, your future, and your happiness are all protected. You no longer have to justify a dinner out, a concert ticket, or a weekend getaway. They're already part of your plan. The psychology behind this is simple. The human brain craves short-term rewards, which is why it's easier to buy a new gadget today than to invest for tomorrow. Conscious spending bridges that gap by balancing the present and the future. When you intentionally design space for joy, you no longer feel deprived. You're not forcing discipline. You're creating an environment where good decisions happen naturally. The result is peace, not pressure. Awareness is where it all begins. One of the most powerful things you can do is track your spending for a single month. Not to judge, but to observe. Print your statements. Highlight every purchase that didn't add real value, and look for patterns. You'll find small leaks, subscriptions you forgot about, habits that don't serve you, or purchases made out of boredom. Awareness alone gives you control, because you can't manage what you can't see. Once you see clearly, change happens almost automatically. Ramit Sethi shares a simple method called the a la carte strategy. Instead of paying for everything monthly, cancel all recurring services and only pay when you actually use them. If you only watch Netflix a few months a year, cancel it between seasons. That single choice can save hundreds without losing anything you truly enjoy. The goal isn't to eliminate fun, it's to eliminate waste. When you make active spending decisions instead of passive ones, money becomes a tool again, not a leak in your life. Real happiness doesn't come from saving more, it comes from spending better. When you spend in alignment with your values, on travel, learning, family, or health, your money becomes an expression of who you are. Experiences create far more lasting happiness than possessions ever can. Memories compound in value over time, while things eventually fade. So instead of chasing accumulation, chase moments. A shared meal, a concert, a new skill, a trip that opens your mind. These are the investments that truly grow richer with age. Designing your own guilt-free spending plan starts with clarity. List your essentials, the non-negotiables like rent, groceries, and transportation. Then list your joys, the things that make you feel most alive. Once you know both, divide your income into 4 categories: fixed costs, investments, savings, and guilt-free spending. Automate everything. Let your checking account send money automatically to savings, investments, and bills. Whatever's left in your guilt-free account is yours to enjoy completely. No second guessing, no guilt, just intention. This isn't budgeting. This is living by design. Part of conscious spending is learning to say no, not from scarcity, but from clarity. When you know what truly matters, you can confidently reject what doesn't. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop chasing trends or deals you don't need. You gain peace with your choices. Real wealth isn't about owning everything. It's about knowing you already have enough. That's what creates contentment. Every purchase tells a story about who you are or who you want to become. That's why money feels so personal. When your spending aligns with your identity, confidence grows naturally. You become someone who invests in growth, health, creativity, and relationships, instead of someone who spends impulsively for validation. That alignment between values and actions is where true wealth begins. It creates consistency, balance, and fulfillment, the quiet foundation of a rich life. Conscious spending isn't about sacrifice. It's about connection, connecting your money to meaning. It's the bridge between financial freedom and emotional peace. Because wealth without joy is just numbers. But money aligned with purpose becomes power. The power to choose, to experience, to live fully on your own terms. The goal isn't to save every penny. It's to spend every dollar intentionally. When you master that, guilt disappears, clarity appears, and gratitude replaces anxiety. You stop chasing a rich life because you're already living one. There's a moment in everyone's financial journey when discipline starts to feel exhausting. You know what to do: pay bills, save, invest, but doing it manually every week slowly becomes a chore. That's usually where most people give up. Ramit Sethi's answer is simple: stop relying on willpower. Build a system that works automatically. He calls it the automatic money flow, a structure that moves your money exactly where it needs to go without you lifting a finger. It's like hiring a quiet financial assistant who never forgets a deadline, never makes an emotional purchase, and never needs motivation. When your rent, bills, savings, and investments all happen automatically, what's left is peace. No guilt, no decision fatigue. No, I'll do it later. This is the quiet secret of the rich, not just earning money, but creating systems that protect it. Most people live reactively. They get paid, spend impulsively, and scramble to cover bills at the end of the month. Automation flips that cycle. It lets you make smart decisions once, and then lets those decisions repeat themselves forever. We're all creatures of habit. If something takes effort, we delay it. That's why automation works. It makes the right choice the default choice. When your finances are automated, saving and investing happen first, not last. You don't have to rely on motivation to transfer money or remember to pay your credit card. It just happens. You stop fighting your habits and start using them. Here's how to build your own automatic money flow. Your salary lands in your checking account. That's the central hub where everything begins. From there, automatic transfers move a percentage, maybe 10%, into a high-yield savings account a few days after payday. That's your emergency fund or short-term goal fund. Another portion, say 10%, goes automatically into your investment account, your 401k, IRA, or index funds. This ensures your future is funded without thinking about it. Next, set automatic payments for recurring expenses: rent, utilities, credit cards, subscriptions. No late fees, no stress, no missed payments. What remains in your checking account after all of that is guilt-free spending money. You can use it freely, knowing that everything important, savings, bills, and investments, has already been taken care of. That's the essence of the system. You don't have to budget line by line, and you don't have to restrict every purchase. You just live, confident that your money is flowing exactly where it should. Setting this up takes about 90 minutes. 1 hour to gather your account information, your bank logins, credit cards, and investment details, and 30 minutes to link them together, schedule transfers, and confirm automatic payments. Once it's done, your finances will run smoothly with little to no effort. You do the work once, and the system keeps rewarding you every month, every year, quietly building your financial foundation in the background. Life, of course, changes. Maybe your salary increases, your goals evolve, or new priorities appear. Every few months, take a few minutes to review your setup. Adjust the percentages, add new goals, or reroute contributions. Think of it like fine-tuning an engine. A few small tweaks keep the system running efficiently. But the principle stays the same. Automate everything you can. Many people resist automation because they want to stay in control. They like to check every transaction to feel hands-on with their money. But ironically, try to control every detail often leads to more stress, not less. Automation doesn't take control away, it gives it back. You're still the one designing the system. You decide where your money goes, when it moves, and how much it saves. You're simply removing the friction between intention and action. You're not losing control. You're mastering consistency. Once your automatic system is running, something shifts. You stop worrying about every dollar. You stop feeling guilty for spending. You start to trust the process. You know your bills are paid, your savings are growing, and your investments are compounding, all without constant effort. That quiet confidence is the true reward. Because financial freedom isn't just about having money, it's about. For years, we've been told that money is complicated, something only professionals can truly understand. We're taught to trust advisors, analysts, and so-called experts who claim to know where the market is heading next. But here's the truth few people ever say out loud. Most financial experts don't actually know any more about the future than you do. Ramit Sethi calls this the myth of financial expertise. And once you understand it, you'll stop chasing predictions and start building real wealth. Think about the last time you saw a financial pundit on TV, confidently forecasting a market boom or an impending crash. They look convincing, polished, certain, backed by charts and jargon. But let's be honest, if they were really that accurate, they wouldn't need a TV show. They'd already be retired, watching the sunset from their yacht. In reality, most professional fund managers, the ones paid millions to beat the market, fail to do so. Study after study shows that more than 75% of them underperform compared to simple, low-cost index funds. In other words, most people would make more money by investing in the average market itself than by trusting an expensive expert to pick the winners. So why do experts fail? It's not a mystery. First, they're human. They make emotional decisions, follow trends, and panic during downturns just like everyone else. Second, they fall victim to overconfidence. The more they study, the more they believe they can outsmart the market, and that arrogance often backfires. Third, they're forced into short-term thinking. Many are judged by quarterly results or TV appearances, not long-term performance. But real wealth isn't built on quick results. It's built on consistency and patience. The truth is, financial predictions are like weather forecasts, useful in the short term, laughable in the long term. Yet millions of people build their financial hopes around them. The reality is no one knows what the market will do next week, next month, or next year. But that's okay, because you don't need to know. Wealth doesn't come from guessing the future. It comes from staying invested in it. That's the foundation of passive investing. Active investing means paying someone to pick stocks, time the market, and beat the average. It sounds exciting, but in practice, high fees and emotional decisions often destroy returns. Passive investing, on the other hand, means buying a simple index fund, a basket that represents the entire market, and holding it long-term. No guesswork, no stress, just steady, reliable growth. Over decades, that small difference between chasing returns and quietly compounding becomes enormous. Every extra 1% in fees compounds against you, stealing tens of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. Passive investors quietly build wealth while active investors chase headlines. And when financial companies promote their top-performing funds, they're often hiding something called survivorship bias. That means they showcase the few funds that performed well, while conveniently forgetting about the dozens that failed and disappeared. It's like a casino bragging about one person who hit the jackpot, while ignoring the hundreds who lost. Once you recognize that trick, you stop believing in miracle funds and start believing in math. So what actually works? The answer is beautifully simple. Build a diversified portfolio. Keep your fees as low as possible. And stay consistent. Automate your contributions so you invest no matter what the headlines say. That's it. 3 steps. Decades of proof. No guesswork required. Even with this clarity, many people still crave expert guidance. Not because they need it, but because it feels safer to have someone else to blame if things go wrong. If you lose money alone, it feels like failure. If you lose money with an expert, it feels like bad luck. But comfort isn't the same as success. Taking ownership of your financial life, even imperfectly, builds confidence. And that confidence compounds faster than any investment ever could. That doesn't mean every advisor is useless. A good financial advisor can absolutely add value by helping you plan long-term goals, reduce taxes, and manage your emotions during market downturns. But here's the key difference. A good advisor educates you. A bad one controls you. If your advisor can't clearly explain what they're doing or charges high fees without transparency, you're not being helped. You're being sold. A great advisor empowers you to make better decisions. A poor one makes you dependent on their approval. And that brings us to the final truth. The real expert is you. Once you understand the basics, how compound interest works, how index funds grow, and how automation removes emotion, you no longer need to chase trends or panic during downturns. You build a system based on logic, not luck. And that's how ordinary people quietly outperform the loudest voices in finance. Not by being smarter, but by being steadier. The financial world thrives on complexity because complexity sells. But real wealth thrives on simplicity because simplicity lasts. You don't need to know everything about the market. You just need to know enough to stay calm, consistent, and automated. Remember this. Experts try to look right today. Investors aim to be right over decades. Be the latter. Because in the end, wealth doesn't belong to those who predict. It belongs to those who persist. Most people think investing is for the wealthy. They picture stockbrokers shouting on trading floors, billionaires glued to stock tickers, or people in sharp suits speaking a language only they understand. But that image couldn't be further from the truth. In reality, investing is for anyone who has a plan, a bit of patience, and the discipline to start. You don't need a 6-figure salary. You don't need to predict the market. You just need to begin. That's the heart of Ramit Sethi's message. You don't need to be rich to invest. You invest to become rich. So why don't most people invest? Ramit says it comes down to 3 things: fear, confusion, and delay. Fear, because people hear stories of crashes and losses. Confusion, because the world of investing sounds like a foreign language, full of terms like ETFs, bonds, and mutual funds that no one ever explained. And delay, because they tell themselves they'll start later, when they have more money, more time, or more knowledge. But the truth is, waiting is the most expensive mistake you can make. Every year you delay, you lose the most powerful force in finance: compound growth. Imagine investing just $100 every month starting at age 25, earning an average of 8% a year. By 65, you'd have more than $350,000. But if you wait 10 years to start investing the same amount, you'll end up with less than half. That's the difference time makes. It's not about how much you invest. It's about how long your money has to grow. Starting early gives you the greatest advantage, because the less you have to invest later, the more your time does the work for you. That's the hidden magic of beginning small, but beginning now. Ramit's favorite method for this is automatic investing, the lazy path to wealth. You don't need to chase stocks or study charts. You simply set up recurring monthly investments that happen in the background while you live your life. It's the same principle as automating your bills or your savings. You remove emotion, eliminate procrastination, and make success automatic. Automatic investing means you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. And over time, consistency beats perfection every single time. To make investing easier, Ramit introduces what he calls the ladder of personal finance, a clear step-by-step system that guides you from stability to long-term wealth. It starts with contributing to your employer's 401k match, because that's free money you should never ignore. Next, pay off high-interest debt, because no investment can outgrow double-digit interest. Then, open a Roth IRA or its equivalent in your country to enjoy tax-free growth. After that, maximize your 401k or retirement plan contributions. And once your foundation is strong, begin investing in a regular taxable account for long-term growth through index funds or ETFs. The beauty of this ladder is that it gives you structure. You always know your next move. No confusion, no overwhelm, just clear progress. Ramit also explains that there are three main types of investors, not defined by wealth, but by mindset. The power investor loves control, enjoys analyzing portfolios, and understands how to manage risk. The simple investor prefers ease and automation, relying on set-it-and-forget-it tools like target date funds. And the fearful investor hesitates, often stuck by indecision, but capable of transformation once they see how simple it can be. Most people are simple investors, and that's perfectly fine, because simple, consistent systems outperform complicated ones every time. If there's one tool that embodies that simplicity, it's the index fund. An index fund lets you own tiny pieces of hundreds of the world's top companies: Apple, Microsoft, Google, Tesla, all in one package. Instead of betting on one winner, you're betting on the entire economy. And historically, the market as a whole rises over time. Index funds are low cost, low stress, and incredibly effective. They outperform most actively managed funds precisely because they don't try to outsmart the market. They just mirror it. So if you're wondering where to start there. A single index fund can outperform 90% of professionals. Now, even with great tools, there's one principle that ties it all together: diversification. You've heard the phrase, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversification simply means spreading your investments so no single risk can take you down. A simple mix could look like 70% stocks for growth, 20% international funds for balance, and 10% bonds for stability. Rebalancing once a year keeps those percentages in check. That's it. No complex strategies, no guesswork. This kind of simple diversification has helped ordinary people quietly become millionaires. Not through luck or timing, but through patience and persistence. But let's be honest, the hardest part of investing isn't the math, it's the emotion. When the market drops, fear takes over. When it rises, greed creeps in. People panic, sell too soon, or chase trends at the top. But as Ramit reminds us, you only lose money when you sell in fear. The market rewards calm, not chaos. If you stay invested through the ups and downs, you always come out ahead. Because every crash in history has been followed by recovery, and every recovery has built new wealth. And that's the real power of investing. It's not just about money. It's about freedom. It's the freedom to say no to a job you hate. The freedom to take time off, travel, learn, create, or support the people you love. Every dollar you invest is a seed of. By this point in your journey, you've built a complete financial ecosystem. You've optimized your credit cards, set up strong bank accounts, started investing, and automated everything to run quietly in the background. Now comes the next stage, maintenance. Ensuring your system keeps working, growing, and adapting as life evolves. Because wealth isn't a one-time project. It's a living system. And just like your health or your relationships, it needs attention, not constant effort, but consistent awareness. Your automated system is like an engine. It runs smoothly, but how powerful it becomes depends on what you feed it. Every raise, bonus, or side income is an opportunity, not just to spend more, but to grow more. The goal isn't to restrict yourself. It's to direct new money intentionally. When your income rises, adjust your automation. Add a little more to your investments. Strengthen your emergency fund, or start saving for something meaningful: travel, education, or a personal project. Ramit Sethi calls this feeding your system. It's about keeping your financial engine strong, ensuring it compounds quietly in the background. Each small adjustment builds momentum, and over time, that momentum becomes power. Once your system is in place, you'll start noticing something interesting. Everyone around you has financial opinions. Some will warn that the market's about to crash. Others will insist you should buy the next hot stock or cryptocurrency. It never ends. But remember, you built your system on logic, not headlines. You've automated your investments. You understand that short-term noise doesn't matter in a long-term plan. So when the chatter gets loud, tune it out. As Ramit says, don't waste your time predicting the market. Spend your time living your life. Because real wealth grows quietly while the world panics loudly. Over time, parts of your portfolio will grow at different rates. Maybe your stock fund doubles while your bond fund stays steady. That's normal, but it can shift your balance and increase your risk. That's where rebalancing comes in, adjusting your investments once or twice a year to maintain your target allocation. It's not about reacting to the news or chasing trends. It's about staying aligned with your plan. If your goal is 70% stocks and 30% bonds, and it drifts to 80-20, simply move a bit from stocks back into bonds. That one quiet adjustment keeps your growth steady and your risk in check. You don't need to do it monthly. Just review once or twice a year, then get back to living your life. Many people stress about taxes when they start investing, but Ramit offers a refreshing truth. Stop trying to be perfect. He calls it the 85% solution. If you're saving, investing, and automating consistently, you're already ahead of most people. Yes, taxes matter. Yes, you should use 401k, IRAs, and other tax-advantaged accounts. But don't waste energy obsessing over every loophole. Perfection doesn't build wealth, consistency does. Your time is better spent earning more, negotiating better, or staying the course. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Another trap many investors fall into is selling too quickly, driven by fear or excitement. Ramit's rule is simple. Don't sell unless you have a real reason. Good reasons include reaching a goal, needing emergency funds, or rebalancing your portfolio. Bad reasons? A market dip scared you. A friend bragged about a better investment. Or impatience crept in. The market rises and falls. That's its nature. But long-term investors win because they hold through the storms. Before you sell, ask yourself, is this a reaction or a decision? If it's a reaction, do nothing. If it's a decision, plan it carefully. Once your foundation is solid, it's time to expand your goals. Ramit calls this stage elevating your goals. Maybe it's building an emergency fund for your family, helping your parents retire debt-free, or saving for your child's education. Maybe it's giving, donating to causes you care about, or helping people who've helped you. At this stage, money stops being about survival. It becomes a tool for meaning. Because real wealth isn't measured by what you keep, it's measured by what you can give without fear. And one of the most powerful ways to strengthen your financial mindset is to teach what you've learned. Show your younger siblings how credit works. Help a friend set up their first automatic investment. Encourage someone in debt to start small, but stay consistent. Financial knowledge spreads through conversation. And when you teach others, you reinforce your own discipline. That's how you move from being financially free to being financially influential. As life changes, marriage, children, career shifts, relocation, your financial system should change with it. The foundation remains the same: automation, awareness, and long-term focus. Whenever life evolves, revisit your system. Make sure your accounts, contributions, and goals still fit your reality. Think of it like a health checkup. Not because something's wrong, but because you care enough to stay proactive. By now, you've probably realized something. The real secret to wealth isn't luck, timing, or even intelligence. It's consistency. It's doing the right things, even small ones, over and over until they become effortless. It's staying calm when others panic. It's feeding your system instead of fighting it. That quiet consistency is what turns ordinary incomes into extraordinary futures. And that's what I will teach you to be rich is truly about. Not flashy success, but sustained freedom. Maintenance isn't about doing more. It's about protecting what you've built. Review occasionally. Adjust when needed. Ignore the noise. Stay the course. Because wealth doesn't come from endless action. It comes from steady direction. Take a moment to look at how far you've come. Remember, financial success isn't about the next big move. It's about nurturing the system you've already created, one that grows quietly, automatically, and faithfully in the background of your life. That's real freedom. There's a moment when you realize that money, for all its power, is just a tool. A powerful one, yes, but still just a tool. Because the real goal isn't to die with a perfect credit score or $1 million sitting in your account. It's to live deeply, freely, and with purpose. That's what Ramit Sethi calls a rich life. And by now, you've earned the right to think beyond budgets and investments. You've built your foundation, automated your system, and learned the psychology of spending. Now it's time to ask the most important question of all. What does rich mean to you? For some, a rich life means never worrying about bills again. For others, it means traveling with family, owning a cozy home, or spending weekends reading without stress. Maybe it means donating freely to causes you care about, or having the flexibility to take a break when life demands it, without fear. The beauty of this concept is that there's no single definition. You define it. A rich life isn't about comparison. It's about alignment, when your time, energy, and money all move in the same direction. Most people chase wealth endlessly, not because they need it, but because they think happiness lives one raise or one purchase away. But you've seen the truth. More money only amplifies who you already are. If you're stressed and reactive now, more money won't fix that. But if you've built discipline, clarity, and intention, more money will multiply your freedom. Ramit reminds us, getting rich isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of who you already are. That's the quiet beauty of a rich life. It magnifies what truly matters. Money reveals values. When you talk about it honestly, you build trust, not tension. And if your parents or friends struggle with money, don't shame them. Share what you've learned. Show them the steps you took to build your system. Because the rich life expands when it's shared. Many people carry student loans, car payments, or mortgages, and often they wonder, should I pay these off or invest instead? Ramit's answer depends on your priorities and peace of mind. If paying off debt gives you freedom from stress, focus there first. If your debt has low interest and you can invest for higher returns, balance both. The key isn't perfection, it's progress. You can live richly while paying debt, saving, and investing at the same time. Being rich isn't about being debt-free tomorrow. It's about being intentional today. Life's big dreams, weddings, houses, cars, can easily pull you back into chaos if approached emotionally. A wedding isn't a test of love, it's a celebration. And you can celebrate without sinking into debt. The same goes for houses and cars. Buy what fits your values and your goals, not society's timeline. You don't owe anyone the illusion of success. You owe yourself peace. A rich life is about living on your own terms, whether that means owning a home, renting forever, or exploring the world with a backpack. When you started this journey, your focus was survival, getting out of debt, building savings, stabilizing your finances. But now you've moved beyond survival into strategy, and finally, satisfaction. You're no longer fighting your money, you're directing it. You've turned chaos into clarity. That's the difference between being not broke and being truly rich. You're not reacting to life anymore, you're designing it. Once your system is strong, you can begin using your money to create impact, not just donating, but intentionally investing in meaning. Maybe you fund scholarships, support your family, start a side project that helps others, or simply give your time. Generosity changes your relationship with wealth. It reminds you that money gains its deepest value when it flows outward. Even small acts, helping a friend, buying a meal, or contributing to a cause, keep you connected to gratitude. Because abundance isn't measured by how much you keep, but by how freely you give. A rich life doesn't begin when you hit a number. It begins the moment you live with purpose. You don't have to wait for someday. You can live richly now in small, intentional ways. Enjoy your morning coffee without guilt. Take that day off. Book that trip. Invest in learning something new. Call someone you love and tell them you're proud of them. Because money's real purpose is to give you time, choice, and peace. The three currencies of freedom. When you first started this journey, you might have felt uncertain. Maybe you didn't know where your money was going, or how to build wealth, or how to stop feeling guilty about spending. But now, you've built something remarkable, a system that runs on logic, not emotion. A mindset that embraces clarity over fear. You stop chasing quick wins. You've built sustainable habits that will grow for the rest of your life. And most importantly, you've redefined what it means to be rich. It's not the car, the status, or the numbers on a screen. It's waking up with peace of mind, knowing your money supports your values, your choices, and your freedom. That's real wealth. That's your rich life. So take a moment to reflect. Look back at everything you've learned, from credit and saving, to investing and automation, to living consciously and giving freely. You've built more than a financial plan. You've built a philosophy for living. From here on, your wealth will continue expanding quietly in the background, while you live fully in the foreground. You've learned not just how to get rich, but how to stay rich in spirit. In the end, wealth isn't built in silence, it's built in choice. Every decision, every habit, every dollar directed with purpose is a quiet vote for the life you want. So take one small step today and let it echo forward. Because your rich life doesn't start someday, it starts the moment you decide. If this message spoke to you, take a moment to subscribe, not just to the channel, but to your own growth. Every week, We explore powerful ideas from the world's most life-changing books, helping you build wealth, purpose, and peace. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep building your rich life.